you're over 40, you know the feeling, right? That slow, creeping frustration when you suddenly need to hold your phone at arm's length just to read a text. It feels like an inevitable part of getting older. But what if I told you it might not be?
I mean, who hasn't frantically patted down their pockets looking for their reading glasses? It's a pain. Well, today we're going to dig into the real reason our vision starts to fade and, more importantly, explore a whole toolkit of strategies that could actually help turn back the clock. So first, let's understand what's really happening inside our eyes. So what is going on here? Turns out it's not just that the lenses in our eyes are getting stiff. Nope. The problem is much, much deeper. It's actually an energy crisis happening on a microscopic level. Okay, so deep inside the back of your eye, you've got this tissue called the retina, and it's loaded with photoreceptor cells called cones. Now, these little guys are absolutely critical. They're the ones that handle your color vision, your daylight vision, and all the fine detail work that makes everything look sharp and clear. This is where our story really begins. Now, what's so incredible about these cone cells is that they are jam-packed with these tiny structures called mitochondria. And you can just think of these as microscopic power plants. Their whole job is to pump out energy for your cells. And here is the absolute key. Seeing clearly takes a huge amount of energy. In fact, your retinas are one of the most energy-hungry tissues in your entire body. And this chart right here, this shows you the problem in a nutshell. As we get older, we lose a massive number of these little power plants. By the time you're 60, you might only have about 30% of the mitochondrial density you had when you were 20. That's a 70% drop. Your eyes are basically running on fumes, and they just don't have the juice to perform like they used to. And this energy shortage doesn't just happen overnight. It's a slow burn. Sound familiar? Maybe at first you just notice it's harder to see things clearly at dusk. Then suddenly you need to turn on every light in the house just to read a book. And that glare from headlights at night, it seems way worse than it used to. These are all symptoms of that energy deficit, which, if you don't do anything about it, can eventually contribute to more serious stuff like macular degeneration. So here's the good news. If the problem is a lack of energy, then the solution is all about restoring that energy. So let's talk about how we can reboot these tiny powerhouses in our eyes. And it all starts with the fuel you're using. A high-sugar, high-carb diet is like putting dirty fuel in a high-performance engine. It gums up the works and actively damages your mitochondria. But when you switch to a low-carb diet, your body starts producing something called ketones. And ketones are like a super clean, high-octane fuel for your mitochondria, helping to protect them and run more efficiently. Beyond diet, you can actually send signals to your body to build more power plants. Things like regular exercise, even just a good long walk. Tell your body, hey, we need more energy here, so it makes more mitochondria. Intermittent fasting gives your system a chance to clean house, getting rid of old, worn-out cells to make room for new ones. And of course, quality sleep. That's when your body's repair crew really gets to work. Now, this is a pretty fascinating therapy. It's basically about recharging your eye's batteries using a specific kind of light. The research points to a really simple protocol. You use a device that emits red light at a very specific wavelength, that's 670 nanometers. And listen, this is super important. You do this with your eyes closed. The light can penetrate your eyelids safely. You just do it for 3 minutes once a week. That's it. It helps make the mitochondria you already have work way more efficiently. All right, so we've gone deep on the cellular level. Now let's zoom back out and talk about some simple physical habits you can build into your day to relax and retrain your eyes. You know that feeling? You've been staring at your computer for hours, and when you finally look up, everything in the distance is blurry for a second? That's a real thing. It's called an accommodation cramp. You're literally locking your eye muscles in one position for so long that they get cramped up. We've got to break that cycle. And the fix is brilliantly simple. It's called the 20-20-20 rule. And here's how it works. For every 20 minutes you spend staring at a screen, you just have to look away at something that's at least 20 feet in the distance. It could be a tree out the window, a picture on the far wall, anything. And you just hold your gaze on that distant object for a full 20 seconds. That's all it takes. That little break gives those tiny muscles in your eyes a chance to finally unlock and relax. And here's a little pro tip to add on top of that. While you're doing your 20-second gaze, make a conscious effort to blink, like a full, complete blink, every 5 seconds or so. See, when we stare at screens, our blink rate plummets, and that leads to dry, tired eyes. This little hack helps rehydrate them on the spot.
And to really take it to the next level, try to spend more time just looking at things in the distance, outside. It's incredibly therapeutic for your eyes. Another powerful habit is to watch the sunrise or sunset. Now, don't stare directly at the sun, but just being outside, looking in that direction, helps reset your body's internal clock, which is huge for your overall health. All right, last but definitely not least, let's talk nutrition. How can we give our eyes some targeted support for specific issues, fueling them from the inside out? Now, this is a quick look at some really powerful targeted strategies. For example, cataracts are basically just clouded proteins, and some studies suggest that N-acetylcarnosine, or NAC eye drops, might help dissolve them. For glaucoma, which is all about eye pressure, high-dose vitamin D3 has shown incredible promise. And those annoying floaters? They're just cellular junk, and prolonged fasting can trigger your body's own cleanup crew, a process called autophagy, to clear them out. For other issues like dry eye or macular degeneration, it's about getting key nutrients like vitamins B1 and A, or powerful antioxidants like saffron, lutein, and zeaxanthin. And let's just double-click on vitamin A for a second, because it's so critical for good night vision. But here's the thing. Not all vitamin A is created equal. The source material points out that the kind you get from egg yolks is super bioavailable, which just means your body can absorb and use it incredibly efficiently. And to really drive home that point about glaucoma, the work of Dr. Harold Schell is mentioned. He found that getting vitamin D3 levels way up, of course you have to do this safely with things like K2 and magnesium, can have a really profound effect on lowering that dangerous eye pressure. Remember we talked about how sugar damages the eye? Well, here's exactly how. It creates these nasty compounds called advanced glycation end products. And yes, the acronym is AGEs. How perfect is that? They literally age the tissues in your eye, making them stiff. But the great news is that powerful antioxidants like alpha-lipoic acid and things called polyphenols, found in turmeric and resveratrol, can help your body fight back against that damage. So let's wrap it all up. This isn't about finding one single magic bullet. It's about building a whole toolkit for better vision. You start with your diet. Go low carb. Try fasting. You can explore therapies like red light. You build new daily habits, like the 20-20-20 rule and getting outside. And you can supercharge it all with targeted nutrition. And really, that leaves us with one final thought. While sure, genetics and age play a role, what all this information suggests is that we have so much more control than we've been led to believe. So the real question is this: is your eyesight an inevitable diagnosis, or is it the result of a series of daily choices that you can start changing today?